The Los Angeles Chargers versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is everything you need to know about this Week 3 NFL matchup. So, the Chargers head on over to the Pittsburgh Steelers in Pittsburgh to play at Acrisure Stadium at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. This is the first home game of the season for the Pittsburgh Steelers, so you can expect the crowd to go crazy just like they always do at Acrisure Stadium. Both teams have some injuries that could really impact this game greatly, from the Chargers starting quarterback to the Pittsburgh Steelers offensive line. But before I get more into that and the injuries for both teams, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications for everything Pittsburgh Steelers news and updates. Also, like this video. Now, let's get right back into it. So, let's start with the injuries for the Pittsburgh Steelers side of the football, because on Friday and throughout the week, they had a lot of people appear on the injury report, and they have 4 game destinations as well. So, when looking at quarterback Russell Wilson, he's still dealing with his calf injury, and he was limited in practice throughout the week, and he's questionable for the game. He more than likely will be the third and just emergency quarterback, just like he was the first few weeks. Looking at Roman Wilson, wide receiver, he had an ankle injury that he's been dealing with for the last 2 weeks as well. And he had 2 full practices, and he is listed as a full go, meaning that he has not appeared on the game status. He does not have a game destination, and he will be playing and making his debut for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Looking at running back Najee Harris, he appeared on the injury report this week, and he missed a day, but he's a full go and has no game destination. Guard Isaac Seumalo, he has a pectoral injury. He did not participate in practice for basically the last 2 weeks. He did do some light work this week, however, but he still is out and is not going to play in this week's game. McCole Pruitt, tight end. The Pittsburgh Steelers, they signed a tight end to their main roster from their practice squad earlier in the week. So McCole Pruitt, he is out for this week's game with a knee injury. TJ Watt, he appeared on the injury report just for rest. He's a full go. Same thing with Larry Ogunjobi, just appeared on the injury report for rest during the week. He's a full go. And same thing with Cameron Hayward. But however, offensive lineman and rookie Troy Fautanu, who got the start at right tackle last week, injured himself on Friday's practice. And he had to have an MRI on his knee, and he is out for this week's game with that knee injury. So he will not be starting and will be back to Broderick Jones. So those are the injuries for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Just to go over quickly, the ones that actually have a status: Russell Wilson questionable, Isaac Seumalo out, McCole Pruitt out, and Troy Fautanu out as well. So moving over to the Los Angeles Chargers side of the football and their injuries for this week's game. Looking at outside linebacker edge rusher Joey Bosa, he has a hip injury, but he's a full go for this game and will play. Looking at linebacker Junior Colson, he has a hamstring injury and is out for this week's game. Outside linebacker and former Pittsburgh Steeler Bud Dupree, who's been dealing with illness throughout the week, was limited, and he is questionable for this week's game. Will he make his return to the Pittsburgh Steelers and play the Steelers? Who knows? Hopefully, we get to see Bud Dupree on the field in Pittsburgh. Looking at safety, Alohi Gilman, he had a knee injury. He practiced in full, and he's a full go as well. He's not in the injury report anymore. Looking at Justin Herbert, looking at the Chargers starting quarterback, he is questionable for this week's game and is really going to be a game time decision. He has a high ankle sprain, which usually takes around 3-4 weeks to recover from, but he has not missed a week yet. And he did not participate in practice on Friday, but he's still questionable for this game. The Chargers are hoping that he could go, but this is a big one, because if he can't, it'll be a backup quarterback against the Steelers. Looking at tight end Hayden Hurst, he has an ankle injury as well. He practiced in full, however, and he's a full go. Khalil Mack appeared on the injury report for rest. He will be playing. Looking at wide receiver Josh Palmer with elbow and calf injury, he did not participate in Friday's practice, and he's questionable for this week's game. It's really up in the air if he'll be playing. Looking at defensive back Jasir Taylor with a fibula injury, he was limited in practice this week, and it's up in the air as well. He's questionable for this week's game. So there you have it, the injury report for the Chargers. And the main one is obviously Justin Herbert, because that could sway the whole game, losing someone of his caliber and a starting quarterback. If Justin Herbert can't go for this week's game, their quarterback depth chart looks like this. So their quarterbacks behind him are Easton Stick and also Taylor Heineke. So if he can't go, those would be the guys. But even if he does play, you could expect the Chargers to rely heavily on their run game because they have running backs J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards. Those two players, Steelers are so familiar with them. And you look at those two players, why are they so familiar with them? Well, they basically just took both the Ravens running backs from last year, the year before that, and just brought them over, and they're the guys now for the Chargers at running back. And J.K. Dobbins as well is leading the league in rushing yards, even though he's like 20th in attempts. So he's having a really great season after coming off a season-ending injury last year. And he's just been injury prone throughout his career, and he really has a chip on his shoulder now, trying to prove that he's finally healthy. So even if Justin Herbert does play, expect the Chargers to rely heavily on that run game because his mobility will be limited with that ankle injury, and he won't be able to move as well in the pocket or out of the pocket. And if he doesn't play, obviously even more of a running game with a backup quarterback or a third string backup quarterback. So that would be the Chargers game plan heading into this week's game either way. And that's something the Pittsburgh Steelers have to be wary of. Looking at the Steelers game plan, it's always run the football. The Steelers are running the football at a high clip right now, whether that's with Najee Harris, Jalen Warren, Cordell Patterson getting some, or even Justin Fields getting all these read options, QB draws, and things like that, escaping the pocket, making plays with his feet out of nothing. So that's always the Steelers game plan, and then obviously play defense at a high level. And that's something I believe the Pittsburgh Steelers will do this week. The Chargers don't have many weapons on the outside. You don't have to be too worried about what they're going to do throwing the football. Other than obviously Justin Herbert is a good quarterback. But in terms of the playmakers on the outside, you don't have to be worried about a top tier player. They don't have Keenan Allen. They don't have Mike Williams anymore. They don't have one of those guys. So it's really just rookies and then a second year, third year guys who are not really high name levels. So the Pittsburgh Steelers defense has been great throughout the first few weeks, and I expect them to be great as well as long as they focus in on the run game and is able to stop the run game. This will be the first test at the running game department for the Steelers this season in week 3. Enough with defense, talk about offense now. It's been said by multiple people throughout the week in terms of Arthur Smith, George Pickens, that they feel as though the top will be finally let off of the Steelers offense and they'll have a breakout game and they're going to go crazy. So hopefully that's the case. They're facing a really good Chargers defense so far. This defense for the Chargers is what's carrying this team for the last few seasons. Last season they had a good defense. This season so far they have a good defense. So if that's the case and Steelers feel like they're going to go crazy in this game, so be it. Hopefully the Steelers open up their playbook and they're actually able to attack downfield and the penalties aren't what hold them back, in which what held them back the last few weeks in terms of the big play capabilities and the splash plays. So hopefully the Steelers add more of the splash plays into their offense and it's not just all running the football. And hopefully it's more than just less than 20 points. And the Steelers are able to crack over 300 yards, 20 plus points, and we finally get to see this offense for what it is. Justin Fields has continued to get starts instead of Russell Wilson because he's not fully healthy. So hopefully he's able to make the most out of this one as well and continue to prove why he should be the starter the entire season and why he is the future of the Pittsburgh Steelers at the quarterback position. But anyway, that's the end of this kind of preview of this Chargers and Steelers game. But let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Who do you think is going to win this game? The Chargers or the Pittsburgh Steelers? I'm also having a poll on my community tab on this channel. Go ahead and vote on who you think will win this game and your score predictions. You can let me know in the comments of that or of this video as well. Me personally, I believe the Pittsburgh Steelers go to 3-0 and they beat the Chargers in this game. this should be an easier matchup for the Steelers than many people expect. Some people have this as a close game. I really don't see it as a close game, and the Pittsburgh Steelers should be winning this game easily if they play up to their standard. So, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And also, make sure you subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications for everything Pittsburgh Steelers news and updates, highlights, analysis, reports. And until next time, I'll see you guys all later. I'm out. Peace.